Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I am your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned and share them with us as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. If you want to generate leads on LinkedIn, you actually have to stop marketing on LinkedIn. But to find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. But on today's show, our guest is Eugene Berezin, and he's the owner of Heart and Profit, providing business mentorship and coaching for consultants and service providers. So it's great to have you on the show, Eugene, and I hope I didn't butcher your last name. But I want to start off with the question I always love asking, and that is this. If you were able to somehow be able to go back in time to when you started your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
And such a good question. Um, I think the number one advice is get clarity before diving into strategies because there are so many ways to run any business, right? And before we get really clear clarity, like what I want to do, who I want to serve, how I want to serve them, what I want to build, at least for foreseeable next 5 years. Like, is it lifestyle business? Am I building empire, or in between? Then like that would then after that you will have more informed decisions, like what strategy, what platform, what offer, like what audience to serve.
Mm, mm. If I'm hearing this correctly, it sounds like um, get clarity, but don't try to overanalyze the strategy because that can slow you down. Is that what you're referring to, Eugene?
Yes, like get clarity on like what is it what you're building, without really diving into strategy too much. It's like, okay, what if I couldn't fail? Like everything would work. So what would I do? Right. And then you ask yourself a sequence of questions, right? Like what kind of lifestyle do you want? Like how do you want to work in your business? Is it solopreneurship? Is it self-employment? Is it entrepreneurship? You want to hire potentially more team? Like do you want to replicate a system or process that you're already doing, and then you can just go from there.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really, really good. Um, as you have grown your business to where it is today, what do you feel is I know that's the number one piece of advice that you gave yourself, but what's the number one lesson that you've learned as you're growing your business and developing to where you are today?
Well, I think one lesson is that business is not linear, and sometimes you have to start over, and when you're starting over, you're never starting from zero. You start from experience. And also, the blessing and the curse of entrepreneur, true entrepreneur, is that sometimes we have to go through many iteration of many businesses. And the painful part of it, before you start a new iteration, is expanding new business vessel. The old business has to, or the old vessel rather, has to die, and that is a painful process. But
Mm,
this is how great businesses were built. It's never like, oh, like I have a business idea and now I have Microsoft. No, I have a business idea. I built that business, it fails. I build another one, it fails. I build another one. I got tired of it and I started a new one. It fails, and finally I got to my Microsoft, my empire, my business that everybody knows. And it seems like it was just overnight success.
yeah. Do you know, I think that's a huge key for a lot of people. And I love the way you say it because I think people feel that if they start something and it doesn't work out the way they wanted it to, they are a failure. But what I'm hearing you say, it's almost like that butterfly effect, of some sorts. Not the butterfly effect, but where, you go from that caterpillar to the butterfly and you have that kind of, hey, here's the caterpillar, it's my thing. And then sometimes it might feel like it's dying, but if you allow it to evolve, it turns into something a lot more beautiful. And you may have to have several reiterations of that. Is that what you're leading on
Yeah,
to? Yeah.
like, yeah, absolutely. And, like also we are changing too, because often it's not like the business is failing or something is not selling. It's just we're not the same person anymore who started that business like 5, 10 years ago, right? We have different, like, especially in lifestyle businesses, right? Like if you own like brick and mortar, if you own like a parking lot, if you own like an, I don't know, dentistry, right? Like there's not so much change. But also like sometimes I talk to doctors and like, hey, I have private practice as a doctor and entrepreneur for so many years, and now I want to start a yoga studio. And I don't care about the profit right now. It's just the passion of my life, and it's going to be my new iteration. And then we see those beautiful apps and centers and retreats, and like, oh my gosh, like, and this is like that was brewing for so many years.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, just letting that evolve over time. Yeah, do you find that a lot of business owners just they try to push things too hard and make them happen too fast?
Yeah, I think you have to like kind of like what I said previously, right? Like your vessel and the vessel of your maturity in business, the vessel of your skill set, the vessel like your soul vessel, it has to be ready for like what you're calling into, right? And sometimes we think that we're ready, like, okay, I'm ready for my like 7 figures, but that will imply so many things in addition to what you have that you might be consciously or unconsciously resisting, like hiring a team member or like restructuring in business in a way that feels uncomfortable at the moment, right? And sometimes we have to go through those like expansion times when it's
Hmm.
not necessarily the most comfortable or easy for us.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of that element of not being comfortable, what's the number one challenge that you have faced so far in your business, and what are some key lessons you've learned from that?
I think one of the lessons is self trust, right? And also remembering your why. And I know it sounds very generic, right? But sometimes we so much so consume with profit and like whether or not what I'm building is going to be profitable that we sometimes like really forget why we're starting like what we're building right now. And not every passion needs to be monetized, but also if you have strong desire, strong nudge, strong calling to do something, maybe there is a big idea behind it. And sometimes you just have to release the profitability piece for a moment. And it's not like do your work for free or like just be delusional, but it's rather approach that with curiosity and with like trusting yourself because you are a lot more capable than you think.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel, or what do you think is the main reason for people not trusting themselves in business?
Well, I think people want their successful business like by tomorrow, and it's not how business works. And sometimes you have to face a lot of harsh data that it's not working, your approach is not working, and especially when the world is changing, right? And the platforms are changing, and you have to adapt and you have to change. And people think that, okay, if past efforts were not successful, I'm probably not going to be successful in my next one. But this is the paradigm shift that entrepreneurs need to go through, right? Because it's you gotta get comfortable with losing and going through lessons and like really enjoy the process itself versus just the destination because this is the way how you keep yourself sane because if you just attach yourself to the outcome all the time like the process of building business is not going to be as enjoyable.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I love what you're saying around that, enjoying the process. And I think that's hard for a lot of people to do because when you're in the process, it can feel painful for, if we're just being honest, it can feel really painful. What are some tips that you've learned on how to enjoy the process, even though it may feel very uncomfortable or painful while you're going through it?
So it's really identifying the activities that really that I enjoy and looking forward to, right? And there are parts of the business that we all enjoy or like looking forward to, and really leaning into it. For example, recently, for me, it was my podcast. It started as a middle funnel thing when hopefully people will come to my ecosystem, will consume my content, and then like over time, like start either collaborating and working with me. But then later on, much later on, people just started coming as guests or inviting me as a guest too. And
Mm,
that portion, like, you know, that human connection, that's something that I enjoy, and just leaning with
mm,
curiosity. And that kind of grew from just a tool to be more visible, to be more findable, or like to from the nurture tool to something that I love. And I don't care how many downloads I get for on my next episode or like my next interview with a guest. Like what matters is just like this process and this connection. And then you see certain things like picking up like way later. Like you think that like an episode, let's say flop, right? When you just released it. But then a year later, you see thousands and thousands of people are watching or listening into it, and you don't know why. So, and then you see
mm.
like, oh, that's why it is important to be aware of here and now, and enjoying the process where you're here and now.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminds me of just planting seeds. You know, you just
Hmm.
never know which seeds are going to actually bloom and take off and be really, really fruitful for you, which can be challenging because not all seeds germinate quickly. They can
Hmm.
take some time. Yeah, it's a powerful lesson for sure. So, well, Eugene, over the next, I say 2 to 3 years, like what's your goals in your business? What are you wanting to achieve?
That's a good question. So, I think after like 2 or 3 years in my business, I'm kind of leaning with curiosity. Like, like do I want to build into like more like empire like business when I have program coaches or maybe have like certified process? Or do I want to make it more lifestyle business, descale lifestyle business when like, okay, you still make a good profit, you still make multiple six or even seven figure business, but you build your business around your current lifestyle? Because I see both. I have like two of my mentors built two different businesses that I like. I'm kind of in between, right? Like one mentor built beautiful empire, absolutely amazing. Also, like, you know, related, and another mentor built empire, descale empire, and now built like seven figure business where it's just about her and about her lifestyle and about her family, and she just
Mm-hmm.
chooses to work with people at the higher price point, at the more in the more intimate settings, without like really stress and overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have a couple of years and maybe more to decide which model like resonates the most.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing, man. I love that. Such great goals for sure. So, well, Eugene, for people that want to learn a little bit more about you or how to get in contact, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way to learn about me, connect with me on LinkedIn, Eugene Berezin, connect with me on Instagram at Eugene.Berezin, and check out my YouTube channel. Like it's also Eugene Berezin, and Heart and Profit, my podcast, also has a new YouTube channel. So I'm doing an experiment. So I separated my personal YouTube channel from
Mm,
my podcast channel. So like subscribe to that. If you want a more focused information about specifically like strategy, spirituality, anything in between, it's Heart and Profit podcast. And if you want a more like see my journey and my opinions and more of me, it's Eugene Perezin.
amazing, amazing. That's fantastic. Well, Eugene, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and everyone definitely check out Eugene on the different platforms that he's just mentioned there as well. And as a reminder, all the listeners, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everyone hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat, and that link will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.